What is going on, everybody? Welcome to your 42nd AngularJS tutorial. I'm Mehul, and in this tutorial we'll be talking about isolated scope attributes in AngularJS. Now, in the last tutorial we took a look at this scope right here, which creates a separate isolated scope for this directive, and in this tutorial I'll be showing you how you can just communicate between directive and other parts of your program, because just cutting off directive from all of your website is a bit sad. So let's get started. Now, inside this scope we mainly make use of these three attributes. The @sign, it is a text getter, and this equal to sign is a two-way bind, and it would be better if I say this is a text bind only, and this ampersand is a one-way bind. Now, what the heck is all of that? To understand that, let's take a look at a simple example. So I'm just gonna create a simple line here. First variable name is name. Simple enough, and let's just fill that in the scope. Scope.name is codedam. Why not? Let's just get rid of this linker function to avoid conflicts. And now I want to get this value right here inside my directive. So how would I do that? Now, to do that, I need to create an attribute as name. Now, this name should match something on your HTML page, which I'm going to show you right now, and an @sign. Now, first of all, let me just write some more HTML div, and what was the directive? My first script, and name equals name. Okay, so now what's happening out here? Now, when you'll normally run this program, this would populate codedam here as well and here as well. And the next thing you are doing inside this directive is you are getting the name attribute. This attribute is should be same as this one right here. So these two should match. And the @ just says that just text bind this one with this one, or this one kinda. So inside the template, let's just say value of name in directive is name, and let's just take a look. As you can see, the first variable name is codedam, and the value of name in directive is also codedam. So you have kind of passed data from controller to directive via your HTML page, and this has happened because you have created a new property in your new isolated scope in directive, and yeah, so I told you guys that this is only a text bind. You cannot, you can just retrieve and play around with this variable inside your directive, but whatever you do inside your directive will stay inside your directive. And to demonstrate that, let me just create a simple array, because that would kind of make it messy if I write that in a single line. Input type text ng model name, and I'm just gonna say enter new name. Okay, so now what is gonna happen is obviously enter new name. Now, what's happening here is that first of all we are just creating this name inside the very new scope of this directive, and then we are prompting the user to modify this. And this kind of looks a bit broken. Oh, okay. Yeah, so you need to join that, obviously. Okay, so enter new name. Now when I enter something else, now you can see that the value of name in directive is changing, but it's not in the scope of your controller. And that's what I meant by saying that this is a text bind, so it won't, just pay back the controller and change its value as well. Alright, so the next thing we have is the two-way bind. Now this two-way bind, let me just demonstrate that, and why not just create a divider, directive, and second variable age is age. Alright, the next thing we need another attribute, age is age. Now again, what would happen is that when you would, or just scope.age is 30, or why not 100? When you would run this program, then 100 would appear here and here. Now you can again retrieve this value from your @sign, but let's just try the equal to this time, which is the two-way bind, and let's just see what it can do. So again, say, or first of all, let's just do age is equal to. Now let's just say value of age in directive is age. Seems good. But here's the rub. When you enter a new age in input type text or number, whatever, model age, what would happen is that because this is a two-way bind, the equal to sign, this would, okay, got some problem here. Syntax invalid key age. So there's kind of some problem with age. Okay. Oh yeah, alright. So looks like you don't need these curly braces here. And why don't you need them is because this equal to is a two-way bind. So if you made use of the curly braces here, then it would output the text, and obviously we don't want the text, we want a reference to that particular variable so that we can update it on both the places. So you just need to pass down your variables. So again, this and this should match, and this should match. So these two should be same, and these two should be same. So once you're done with that, and I guess reload that, and here you go. Now when I enter a new age, you can see that the value at both the places is changed simultaneously, and here it's not. So you see that text binding just kind of retrieves your text, and two-way binding actually binds your text to the controller as well. And if you look in the elements and in the directive, you can see that right here the name is codedam, as you can see, but the age is simply the reference to that particular variable, this one. Okay, now similarly we have a one-way bind as well. Now let me first of all quickly create a function in the scope which would demonstrate the one-way bind. And what shall I name it? Let's just say alert the name, and right here I just want to say that alert scope dot name. Simple enough, simple function. And then obviously head back to your HTML and just create a button here. So input type button ng click alert the name, just like that. And the next thing we have to do is obviously in your directive function is alert the name, and again we are trying to access something which is not present in the directive scope, but it is in the Angular's controller scope. So we need to somehow figure out how we can get this thing right here without obviously copying and pasting. So we shall make use of the one-way binding right now. Go ahead here and write function and an ampersand here. Okay, now we have a one-way binding reference to that particular function. Now again, let's just create our final code of block. Input type button ng click function. Now this should be interesting. Alert from directive. Okay, so now hopefully everything would work out. Okay, so I guess we don't have the values in these buttons, so value from controller, and just get rid of this value alert from directive. Okay, so let's just see if this works or not. Let's click this one, and as you can see we get code dam. Click this one and voila, we get code dam as well. Now what happened here? Well, actually what we did is, first of all, we created this function ng click alert the name right here. Then I just simply created an event listener here on this input for a click and execute this function. Then in the directive, what we did is we just created another attribute function with alert the name. Now again, this one and this one should match, and this one and this one should match, just like it does. After that, we have again created this function. This in the scope of this directive, we have created a reference to this function right here, the alert the name. And what happens basically is that when we click this button right here, this button alert from directive, it is, you know, just in one way or another, it is just calling this function, the function of the controller, because we are just referencing it. Remember that this is a reference, so again, whatever you do this, it won't, you know, harm your original function. And what happens if I do this to name? Let's just try this out. Okay, we get an error. Alright, so let's just get rid of this first, and let's just try now. Okay, so now you see something strange here, but nothing is strange here, because if your ampersand sign, for now, for the first example, the ampersand sign was used on a function, but if it isn't an ampersand for a function, then what would happen is that when you call this function, it would just simply return you the value of your string. So again, to make it work, just change this name to a function, and as you can see, this works nicely. Not really, because we are again using ng model here. So yeah, so this code would require a bit of tweaking before it is working. So let's just change this to @only and have a final look at the program, what we did so far. So what we have created here is the first variable name is codedam, then the value of name in the directive is name. Wait a minute. Oh, okay. Alright. Then after entering a new name, we get a change in only the directive value of this name variable, because this is a text bind using an @ sign, a text bind. But with the age, when I change this, you get both the values are changed simultaneously, because this is using a two-way bind with an equal to sign, and obviously a two-way bind wouldn't require you to add a curly braces here for the expression, because obviously it expects a reference to the variable which has to be binded two ways. Then finally we have alert from directive, which just simply executes this function, and the alert from controller obviously executes its own function. So I guess this concept was a bit of, hard to grasp for the first time. So if you are facing any difficulties, then I would suggest you to watch this video again. And if you still don't understand some concept or you have some doubt, then obviously you can go to my form, which is this URL, clan.codedam.com, and post a query there, or you can comment down below. But I guess the form option would be better, because there we have got tools for your code to customize, file upload options, and just it looks kinda nice to discuss at a form than in the comment section, especially if you're a programmer. So that's all for this tutorial, and if you liked it, then don't forget to subscribe, and thank you for watching.